Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Toonkind at 12 FPS. I am one of your lovely hosts for the evening, Carmichael, also known as Mikey, here with...
Hello, I am Winona.
And today, this episode will be titled Dinnerkritter 101. I will be playing the esteemed big game hunter, Roqueforti.
And today I'll be playing the little mad lad.
Hey. Now, I assume we start off in the treehouse, as we are wont to do.
Yes, indeed. What's Roquefort doing?
Will allow me to roll for the weather first to decide that factor. So 3d20. And let me pull
if we were gonna do weather, I have weather dice somewhere.
Ah, understand. Would you like to do the honors then?
Let me find my weather dice really quickly.
I am very used to rolling the dice myself for weather, so it would be nice to have somebody else do it for a change.
Sorry, I found them. They were just deep down in one of the pockets of one of my other dice bags.
Nice.
Let's see. Let's roll the dice. I'm not very sure if it could be snowy in a jungle.
Oh, the dice actually mentioned the weather. I thought you had 3d20 you rolled for. Okay.
No, it's really cool. I actually have dice that actually have the weather, so let's roll this again.
Nice. Man, I wish I had dice that had the weather on it. I just rolled 3d20 and looked at the Dungeon Master Guide.
I forget where I found these dice. I think I found them at a convention, and I thought, that's cool.
Oh, it does sound neat.
But,
so what'd you roll this time?
Hurricane! There's a giant storm outside.
Ooh. Okay, so let's see. Issue with that being, we can't have that because the Xerox jungle is in the middle of the landmass.
Yeah, but let's just say I would convert hurricane.
We can have it be a heavy storm.
Yeah, like a really heavy storm. Like monsoon. Monsoons, that's what they have in the jungle.
Unfortunately, yes, that is what they indeed have in the jungle. We begin our tale with a clap of lightning. A crack across the sky forms in a bright flash of white. It streaks across clouds from one platform to the next, just from one dark storm gray to another, and then it's dark again. The wind howls, trees bend and sway, but their roots have held for time uncountable. And if they haven't been knocked down by storms before and regrown in their place, then if they've lived through one storm, they'll live through another. They're fine. However, this has made travel for most land-based creatures, and especially for flight-based creatures, dang near impossible, as flash flooding is an issue involving the river, and most need to head to higher ground, and the winds make it impossible for flying creatures to get anywhere. So, most of the people that are not already somewhere else are stuck in EGAD HQ for the day. Just trying to stay warm with all the windows shut, everything barred and reinforced, warm drinks, books, pets. Somewhere in the building, a very small ham is just listening to the terrible storm out. Also, that is a lovely picture of the dice.
Yeah, they're really cool.
So, we pan over to Mad Lad's space. And of course, over to the lovely cage that he got for So, also known as Thor, the little ham he adopted in the little FPS.
Along with
Diana
another little
Braggies.
hamster dust ball right next to it.
Dustball does not look like she is handling the storm well. It is a shaking, shivering mess, but she is thankfully nestled right up against the backside of Saul down there, who appears to actually enjoy the storm a lot more and just is just please just punch, relaxing. While normally, of course, they're meant to be kept in separate cages, but for the sake of Dustball nearly having a panic attack, they've been temporarily moved for the sake
Yeah,
of just Dustball's comfort, because otherwise, Dustball might genuinely die of fright, and that would be a terrible thing for the boy to witness.
I agree. And that
But of
last.
course, oh,
Oh,
you
sorry.
first, sorry.
No, you weren't finished. You go ahead.
And as we cut to Mad Lad, before we get to any other happenings, what is Mad Lad doing?
Matt Lad is just staring out the window, looking bored out of his mind. You think the storm is exciting? No, this just means he can't go outside. And for a young boy, that is very troubling and very boring.
Ah, yes, that lovely childhood cabin fever feeling of, but I want to go out and play.
Exactly.
And as Mad Lad is staring out at the storm, pounding rain, swaying trees, truly a dramatic scene to be sure, I would like Mad Lad to roll me a perception check.
Alrighty. Alright, boy. Perception. Did I already lose a die? Not even 5 minutes in before this FPS. This keeps happening to me. I always lose my dice. Alright. Here's another die. It's his other dice.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't perceive shit. He only, that's a 7.
He doesn't hear anything immediately, but to be fair, the storm is rather loud.
Can I actually put it in here? No. Okay.
Now, allow me to actually roll for So, though I also have to find So's character sheet again,
Oh wait,
which
it's
is
just right
another
here.
thing in and of itself. Do I have a character sheet for you, buddy boy? I should. I definitely should. Thank you, I do. I did not have that bad of a brain fart. Good, good, good.
Good.
Okay, so So-san. Let's see. Your perception is a +6. So, let's go to roll zone. That is a 21.
Yep.
As Saul was sitting there relaxing, just listening to this terrible storm pounding the outside of the treehouse, his ears perk up, and he glances over to the doorway. Now, the door, of course, has been left somewhat cracked, as I assume Mad Lad has gone back and forth from the room to other places to try and find some activity to do.
Try. Keyword.
Keyword. But something white flies by, with a very slight buzz to the wings and a very tiny voice. And he just kind of squints, and then he just sort of goes over and tries to rap against his cage a bit just to get Mad Lad's attention, because he has not been here long. He is confused.
With at least a base perception of 15, he probably does notice his hamsters. And he looks, huh? What's up?
And of course he's saying it in Grolix because again, cannot stress enough, the hamster does not know a lick of common. And Grolix itself is very simplified, but I was not informed that there were other pets in the treehouse.
Pet? I mean, yeah, there's other pets in the treehouse. Which one are you talking about? Oh, it's you! And that lad's just eye sparkles as he sees the Dinnerkritter.
And it is indeed, it appears to be a flying critter that appears to be based on a deviled egg, as parts of the egg white make for wings and legs, and you can see, of course, the deviled egg portion is on the upper half while the rest of the egg is on the lower half, and there's just a subtle little, it just looks like a funky looking flying egg with googly eyes, and it's just flying past the door going, egg, 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 egg.
I mean, I don't know that thing. it like in particular, but I know what it is. It's one of those creatures that one guy had. What was his name? Roquefort? I think Roquefort. I say I'm gonna go investigate. This could be fun.
Well, all right, be careful.
I will.
And as you glance at it, you do watch as it flies right by you and just down the hall and stairs.
Yeah, that lad. This is the most excitement he's had all day. He's gonna race after this Dinnerkritter.
And let me grab the picture of her real quick, what it's based on real fast. So we're going to post this in audience chat.
Oh my gosh. That's adorable.
Mm-hmm. And as you follow along, there's a couple of others that meet up with it, and you can't tell if they really communicate in any way or not, but they seem to bump into each other. There's a couple that, and then just further little buzzing as they go along.
Yeah, that lad's very curious now where they're going. And he's gonna do a little stealth. He wants to try to sneak and just see where these little critters are going. Okay. That is a 18.
Decently stealthy. Decently stealthy. Eventually, they head down to one of the social rooms, and there is one thing that is immediately noted. First thing, anybody else that was in that social room before they're gone now. They have gone to a completely different room. They don't want to be in that one. Probably for the distinct reason of the fact that Roquefort is there, sitting in one of the nice armchairs, surrounded by Dinnerkritters. Absolutely surrounded by this entire swarm of not ethereal, but solid Dinnerkritters that are just chilling with him while the storm rages outside. It's a whole collection. You could see, of course, the ones based on eggs. You can actually see a few that are just sort of hovering nearby, perched, and they look like sticks of honey. There's a few that look like flying grapes with little stem mouths. There's of course the bugs. There's of course the one that looks like an Oreo cookie with cream legs. That's an adorable one. There's just a whole portion here.
Mad Lad's probably more interested to see where that one strawberry one that was very friendly to him went, or if it's there.
Oh yeah, no, the white Strabby is in fact there, just politely perched in one of Roquefort's upper arms, just nestled in the crook of his elbow. His upper arms are occupied with relaxing, while his lower arms are reading a book.
Ah, yeah.
Allow me to roll him perception.
Yeah, because Mad Lad is gonna definitely go over. And he's sneaking over.
It's +8. What did you say his stealth roll was again?
18. I forgot to put it in the roll zone. So.
Jesus Christ! I didn't realize Roqueforti's passive perception was actually high enough to meet that. I'll still roll for him, but it's high enough that he at least notices something.
I keep forgetting passive too, and that's what I've been trying to like notice for a while as a DM. So I understand that.
Okay, so roll zone, not audience chat. Roll zone d20 +8, because he gets a +8 to perception.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. And of course you see him there, and he's just in a lovely vest and soft casual shirt, just in these lovely red shades. His licorice twist hair is pulled back into a ponytail. Some of it hangs loose in his face. He actually appears to have a pair of reading glasses that somehow sit on his face in spite of the fact only the bridge of his nose remains. No actual nose is left. His traditional uniform beret is away for now because, again, bad weather, can't really go anywhere, so he's relaxing. And on top of his head, you see just a pair of antennae that didn't really stick out of the beret before, just chilling.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And one of his long ears just twitches, and he glances over, as does most of the rest of the swarm.
I mean, I can see this comedic moment because Mad Lad was trying to be sneaky, but he's obviously not. You want to know why he's not? He's petting one of the Dinnerkritters that's right in the swarm.
Oh yeah, he's probably petting what is very obviously based on a burger. Very obviously the bunger. Very
Yeah.
obviously the bunger. That's just rolled over and is just happily accepting under the burger rubs.
Yeah, belly rubs. Like, this Mad Lad is just giggling and just having fun.
Bonjour, Monsieur Lad.
Oh,
How are you handling the weather?
I'm bored as peck. This is the most excitement I've had all day.
Hmm. Sometimes terrifying weather can lead to a good break.
I mean, yeah, but also is distracting from actual adventure.
I mean, you could certainly try to go out for adventure. It would just be a very short-lived one as you get washed away and would eventually be found floating, bloated, and drowned. And he just turns a page in his book.
I mean, exactly. I don't want to die just yet.
Nobody does. If you would like to, you may sit by me. The critters don't mind.
Mad Lad immediately takes that offer. He's also very curious
Yeah,
what he's reading, so he looks at the book.
the book. Give me just a moment.
Yeah.
What languages do you read?
Mad Lad can now read Common, Draconic, Grolix, and Infernal.
This is not a book in a language you understand, but I'll describe the cover. The cover appears to show a small fairy-like boy in a lovely tunic made of leaves with this wild hair embroidered in red thread, leading on a gaggle of small children as they fly through the sky. It's in Sylvan. You can't read Sylvan.
Yeah, he can't read Sylvan. He learned those languages from his mom. So he just like cocks his head to the side, almost like a dog, just like trying to figure out what language is this.
And Roquefort just watches this for a moment, but continues reading, and then eventually says, I believe this should be a familiar book to you. It's just been translated to a different language.
Oh,
Have you never heard the tale of Peter Pan?
oh, of course I have. And Mad Lad smiles at that.
Hmm.
I just didn't
It was
real-
translated to Sylvan.
Ah, Sylvan, fairy language. Makes sense.
Mm. Not specifically fairy so much as general fey tongue, but close enough. We.
Yeah, I only know Draconic and Infernal outside of Common Growlix.
I believe I may have a book for you then. If you are bored enough that you need some entertainment, and he just reaches one of his, one of his grabby insectoid claws into his pockets, and we're gonna hammer space. We're gonna hammer space, because believe it or not, he is a toon.
Yes.
Believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
We were very close to an immediate fumble.
Oh, that would have been funny.
He almost grabs something else, but finds the familiar spine in the book and pulls up a book. It's a dark green one with a very simple square image of a. It's pretty in its simplicity. It's an embroidered image of a mountain contained in a square on the front cover, and it's all embroidered in gold. The spine is embroidered in Draconic, which is the language this appears to have been translated to. So if you will allow me to find it real quick. Where did I put this book? Because he did pull a real life book for you to read. Just the question of where is it? That's my stepping stool. That is not the thing. It reads, there. It basically reads The Halfling. And in the inside cover reads, There and Back Again. A Halfling's Tale.
Mad Lad actually has at least read this, and he his eyes widen even more. Yeah, I know this book. I've read it.
You may borrow it if you like. You can read it for the storm.
I mean, I could, but also he gestures to all the dinner critters around him. I want to know more about these guys.
Roquefort, of course, glances from Mad Lad and the book to the rest of the dinner critters. He mutters something in a entertained tone of Sylvan, but again, you do not understand Sylvan, therefore you cannot comprehend what he's saying. But it's sort of in that tone that you can generally gesture of course you do.
Yeah.
And of course, now that you have stopped giving the bunger belly rubs, the particular little burger thing is just it's kind of staring at you expectantly, just underbun still exposed.
Yeah.
Oh. And it sort of wiggles itself a bit as if to invite, come on, just some more belly rubs, please.
That say, can Madlab say how much? Say, I need to roll whiz really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
No, he can't resist the cuteness of the bunger. He goes back to belly rubbing it.
And the bunger is satisfied once again. You actually see it's got a little curly fried tail that is just wagga 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 wagga. And of course, Roquefort is. I need to adjust my headphones again.
You're fine.
Give me just a. I messed it up. I touched the volume dial and I shouldn't have, and now I can't hear you. Give me a moment.
Yeah, I hate when that happens.
This thing is finicky, and I know I need to get some soon. Before we continue, may you say a sample sentence?
Saying a sample sentence right here.
Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. I believe I'm still audible. It's just a matter of if you're audible.
I said, can you hear me now? Hello?
It's passable. It's passable. You know what?
Alright.
I can just hear you in one ear. It's fine. I'm not gonna mess with it for too much. It's fine.
Are
Don't
you
worry
sure?
about it.
Alright.
I'm good. I'm good. It's fine. It just sounds like you're sitting next to me anyway, so it's surround sound.
Ooh.
But he, of course, his book comes with its own little bookmark. It's a little ribbon along the spine that he just sort of politely folds down to his spot, snaps his book shut with just that satisfying little thump that a paper and hardback book gives.
Yes, very
You know, the
satisfying.
good
Yeah.
thump.
The good thump.
And just just sets the book aside, really. Doesn't even stow it in his hammer space. Just sets it aside because, he doesn't expect the explanation to take too long. Surely. Absolutely not. Totally won't take that long. So, what would you like to know?
How are these things both plants? Well, not plants. I mean, kind of. Some of them are plants because they're like based off of food, but they're food and bugs.
Alright, so they may look like plants, but they sort of are not. See, this one, for example, and he actually is going to pull up one of the flying little grape clusters that have the stem needle mouth. And
Yeah.
it's very clear that these are based on grape mosquitoes. So
Aw.
these are like grape mosquitoes, and they got the little funny green stem legs. They look like a craft project. See, these are all Dinnerkritters, but they are classified somewhat differently. This, for example, will be classified as a plant-based creature. This, however, and he gestures more toward the one of them nearby appears to be they're nestled nearby in a forming cobweb in the room. Probably one they didn't make, but they're based on spiders, so it's where they tend to sit.
Mhm.
Appear to be buckets of fries where the fries are spider legs, and they
Oh my
have
gosh.
4 googly eyes each. Those, for example, would be classified as beasts. But nonetheless, these are all still part of the same family, Dinnerkritters. And yes, those are indeed. First thing, I will grab pictures of the. I will grab a picture of one of the funky, funky, fuzzed up little grape mosquitoes. We're gonna go with the green one. Stands out the most.
Yeah.
And then I'll grab one of the frighters. Because again, these are taken from actual descriptions.
Fair enough. And that lad gives a little nod. Dinner critters. I mean, the name sure sounds appropriate.
Hmm.
I'm guessing they're from the Feywild like you?
Yes and no, actually. They are from a large island. just, I believe, northeast of Inkwell, hidden deep within the mist that surrounds the land, a land known as Franchise.
Franchise?
Actually, I should spoiler that second one for arachnophobia because it still emulates a spider. Some people still.
Yeah, yeah. Fair enough.
Spoiler for arachno. There we go. Gotta remember to keep in mind that in spite of it being a goofy, funny bucket with fry legs, it still is a spider.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, my project is based off bugs. It's Hollow Knight with D&D, but that's a different subject.
Also, still sounds good. Let me take a sip of my tea.
I need to probably get my water. I forgot to bring it in. I'll be right back.
Go right ahead. Oh, it is so good to stay hydrated. This is a reminder, listeners. Stay hydrated. Have a drink on hand at all times. And if you run out, politely ask your dungeon master or folks nearby if you can get yourself one. And if it's your house, get yourself a drink. You don't have to ask anybody. It's your house. You do whatever you want.
Indeed it is. But now I have water, and that last like I sort of spark a little bit. Whoa, that's so cool.
It is cool, as long as you don't get too much into the politics of what else lives there. Eddie takes a sip of his own tea, which, it would take a nature check to try and figure out, but it smells good.
That lad's gonna try. He's been trying to work on his nature since he is a ranger.
Let's see.
Let's see. Not bad. It's 13 plus 3 equals 16.
16 actually gets it, since it would be at least a 15 to identify it by smell.
Fair enough.
On a 16, you actually understand the smell, and it is, of course, native ingredients to the world of Satori. It is pomegranate and blueberry acai tea.
That's a pomegranate, acidy tea?
Roqueforti passes you a glance and just goes, close enough.
That lad's,
Is,
that lad's proud of
caffeinated.
himself.
Helps keep me awake.
I heard coffee does it better.
He gets it in spite of not having a mouth. And again, you don't know where the tea goes, but he still sips it. The gag is in, there sure is something drinking. You can't see a mouth, but it's there.
I mean, it's the same thing with his dad. His dad has a cake for a head. It's the same gag.
But he gets I think it would be an insight check, but you don't even need high insight to tell a look that's like, coffee.
Mad Lad just nods. Not a big fan then.
The smell, is delightful. The taste, on the other hand, ugh. And he actually reacts with such a force, his head almost retreats into his body like a turtle.
I mean, black coffee, for sure. Have you ever tried, a latte or one of those very, sweetie coffee? Very sweet
I have
coffee?
tried. There is something to the taste palette that just does not appeal to me. I have tried to give it a chance. But I have given it a few chances too many, and I've decided it's just not worth the trouble. You can't go wrong with tea. And he just takes another sip, and then sets his mug down.
It can be bitter sometimes for me, but that's why I found out honey is a good way to make it sweeter.
Honey is a good way to make everything sweeter. Honey is a universal form of goodness. If you find a plane without honey, it's more than likely that plane is condemned, and it's best for you to avoid it at all costs. The Shadowfell, for example, actually does not have any honey in it.
Really? No honey?
No. Which makes sense. It is a land of negativity and wickedness, so of course it wouldn't have honey.
Fair enough.
But, basically on the Isle of Franchise, Dinnerkritters are one of the most dominant forms of native wildlife, as everything there is looks like some form of food. Whether it is, of course, of the proper home-cooked variety, or if it is the big-name kind you would believe would come from some fast food restaurant, it all looks like some manner of something edible somewhere in the world. And sometimes not. I've actually visited franchise myself, and I've seen some foods there that actually the Dinnerkritters emulate foods of the Feywild. A pleasant surprise, and a show of their clever wit. And he reaches over and he scratches under the quote unquote chin of that white strappy, and it's just ah, just sort of you can see one of the little leaves in front just sort of twitches like it's kicking. Tits,
Aw.
tits, tits, tits.
Oh, that's
And you can see
adorable.
there are a few other you can actually see some Strabbies and Raspies that are just nestled on his shoulders that are just clustered together like a bunch of berries.
Well, I see, like, they say they seem to really like you a lot.
Hmm. I am part of the swarm. Of course they like me.
Ah, so it's like so they're similar. Like, it could be like a hive situation for these critters too. Or a swarm, you said.
Dinner critters traditionally live in hives. You're closer to the truth than you think.
I'm trying to learn more nature since I'm a bit of a ranger right now, but I'm a ranger in training. I'm mainly a pirate, but I got a couple pets though. Like, I have my giant stag beetle, Red, back at the farm, and then I got this little guy, Snap. And Mad Lad is gonna take out this little critter, which is a I say it'll take a minute for me to pull up, but I say it basically looks like a vine snake, with its head being like a flower.
I have seen Snap before in that Riot at Raggy's FPS, but please post it for the audience because Snap is so good.
Snap is so good.
Snap is so good. And if now the thing is, when you pull Snap out, you get a mixed reaction. Roquefort looks pleasantly surprised, as do a few of his dinner critters, but the ones that are closest to you actually draw back warily at you just pulling up this new plant-based creature for them, and they actually just look. You can't really read their expressions, but it's like you try to immediately introduce a new cat to a bunch of cats. Spooked, wary, the bunger you were belly rubbing actually just scampers away from you a bit.
This is why he needs training. Mad Lad does not know subtlety. And
I
he
would
just
probably have been a bit slower in pulling that out if I were you.
oh, and Mad Lad just sees what he does. He's like, ah, yeah, I got some reactions like that every once in a while. Stop is friendly
See,
though.
yes, but dinner critters are, in spite of being friendly themselves, they are wary toward other creatures, usually others similar to their size. They're eerily friendly toward other humanoids, but creatures such as Snap, not so much. If it
Ah,
was not for the fact that they were directly connected to me, they may have scattered, or some may have even defended themselves on seeing Snap.
oh, okay, okay. Uh, hey Snap, do you wanna go back and have and Snap's like this weather is sort of just making him sleepy, so Snap is sort of a little bit
Yeah.
sleepy himself, so Mad Lad sticks him back underneath the collar of his shirt.
You actually, you can resist it if you want, but you actually do notice that while you do that, some of the grape mosquitoes actually look like they want to get under the collar of your shirt as well, so they zip in. You can resist if you want.
No, Mad Lad's gonna let this. He loves critters.
Yeah, it's just you hear just that. It's like the tiny annoying cartoon sound of just zip, and it just zip right under your coat and vanish, and you just now have like 8 different pairs of eyes in there as 8 grape mosquitoes just zip, are now stuffed under your collar. Kind of crowding Snap though. Also,
Say,
it just feels like big mosquitoes crawling on you. Not sure whether Mad Lad's cozy with that or not.
I mean, let's roll a con and see if he's ticklish though.
Fair, fair. They are tiny, by the way. I will note for the grape mosquitoes, they are obscenely small.
Yeah, Mad Lad's rolling on the floor. He is laughing as all the little legs like tickle his body.
Aw. And they kind of get up and fly and still try to tuck in, but then they realize, just we are making this bigger creature move. We need to get up. We need to get up or we get squished. And up they go. A couple of them are stubborn, however, and you still feel a little bit of crawly on your neck, but aside from that.
Yeah, Mad Lad. At least for the most part, Mad Lad is not in a big ball of laughter on the floor.
And Roquefort's just watching, and eventually you're not sure if there's a command or something, because he doesn't say anything outright, but he sort of moves his hand away that the grape skeeters immediately just like, zip, right back out they go. And they just fly instead, just back toward him, and some of them actually fly into his licorice twist hair and just vanish.
Yeah. I found out that critters seem to like me.
As I said, they are incredibly friendly. They especially seem fond of children, as children are among the more sociable creatures and are also the most likely to eat them as they want.
Wait, what? Eat them?
Oui! And he actually just, as he lifts one of his insectoid hands, one of the grape skeetos is just sort of, kind of preening itself the way you've seen mosquitoes and flies do it, just sort of
Yeah.
cleaning itself up a bit since it touched you and everything. Would you like to try one?
That lad is gonna make a wisdom saving throw.
To be fair, there are they look like a lot of delicious foods.
This one's gonna be with advantage because his mother has taught him some things. Okay, all right. Yeah, that's a 15. That lad, like at first, is just like, oh yeah, I want to try something. Then he's like, wait a minute. And he just looks at Roquefort and looks at the creature, now a little bit wary.
And of course, he just...
This isn't one of those fey tricks, right?
No, of course not.
Mad Lad's gonna roll an insight.
Funny enough, he's not rolling deception. It's not a trick.
Mad Lad.
And of course, he kind of can't actually physically lie, so...
Mad Lad, what are you... His curiosity is overcoming him as he like slowly reaches for the bug. He's like,
you do not need this one. You can look among them if you want. And you do in fact see the Dinnerkritters, which were just sort of watching curiously. Now that Snap, not Snack, wow, is put away, they're back to sort of inching closer, but at the idea of helping, educate on something and, actually doing something that's intended, while some of them do go ethereal and they go back toward Roquefort as part of his ethereal swarm, the more solid ones, again, the more actual physical Dinnerkritters are actually approaching like, ooh, pick me! And you can see, of course, there's bugs that look like they're made from toothpicks and shish kebabs. There is a small thing that is crawling very slowly that has just been crawling on the windowsill and looks like a toppled ice cream cone with googly eyes. And...
I mean...
You...
Yeah, Mad Lad just looks at all this, he's just like, why do they want to be eaten? That's like, isn't that the opposite of instinct?
Oh, no. See, would you like me to tell you before or after? And he's saying this, by the way, he looks incredibly pleasant.
Before. And Mad Lad is just like, nope, I'm not being, nope. And it's like, nope, whatever this is, I'd rather know what I'm getting into.
And you can in fact see, of course, the bunger in particular is just sort of seated on your lap, and even though you're inching away, he's just like, but pets, but you were interested, but pets, and it's just sort of bungering towards you, just slowly.
I mean, he hasn't
just, like,
moved away.
Sit on your lap and beg.
Yeah, like, he sat down, but it's just like, it's like he hasn't moved away from the bunger. It's just more like, wait a minute, this seems sus.
See? There is one thing to Dinnerkritters which most people seem intimidated by, but is not so terrifying as really one would believe. And he's petting the white Strappy, while some of the other Strappies and Raspies are just relaxing on him, just nestled. He actually does have a blanket over him that a lot of them have nestled under the blanket.
I mean, that's fair
adorable.
enough. That's what I'm doing right now. I am curled up in a blanket.
It's like seeing like at least 24 kittens, except those kittens are Dinnerkritters, just nestled under the blanket. And even the ethereal ones are nestled on top, since they're not solid. They don't need to stay warm.
Yeah.
See, Dinnerkritters, in the food cycle of life, in the chain which will follows, would be considered parasites of a
Huh?
symbiotic fashion.
Isn't
See,
wait? Isn't that contradictory though?
not really. There are, in fact, parasites that live in symbiosis with their hosts.
Mm. Bad lads, get
For
quiet,
example,
listening.
yeah, he's just listening. It's just like, for example, say you were hungry or you were wounded. You could actually eat a dinner critter to try and heal. Or, if you just wanted to satisfy a craving, you could. Now, of course, there are side effects to eating dinner critters, but while they do have a certain reputation to them among certain adventurers, it is, I feel, very unjustly earned. Because, see, dinner critters have two very different behaviors. And he just sort of is, still attending the white strabby that's just sort of looking at him with those big googly goo eyes. Clearly,
Aw.
clearly the white strabby is one of his favorites.
Aw.
You at least in very think one of the lead little critters of the swarm.
Aw.
Because it is a lot of strabby. Mostly strabby.
Aw.
The stuff like the friders and the grape skeetos and the bungers really aren't isolated incidents. It is mostly a strabby and rasby swarm, honestly. With a
Mm-hmm.
couple of little flyers like those egglers and at least one cheapoof. But see, they tend to live in hive minds. They're all interconnected. It is a secure network which can ensure that, of course, predators do not terrorize them, and they can report on an abundance of prey. But see, dinner critters aren't aren't really predators themselves. See, dinner critters are not born in a traditional fashion. They do not lay eggs and hatch. They do not really. Well, some of them do, but they don't do so in mass, if that makes sense.
Similar to
Like the
bugs.
egglers up here, for example. They will lay little egglers that will grow into, deviled egglers, but aside from that, they need other ways to reproduce, other ways to make more of themselves. Now, we don't really have a record of what they did before behaviors changed, but it is believed that eventually, whether it was with animals or with humanoids, they found a better way to reproduce en masse. See, dinner critters have a somewhat psychoactive ingredient. I could say the name to you, but of course you are small and it is easier to explain in smaller terms. Basically, when you have one, you want to eat more. Not immediately, mind you, but it's like sugar. You know, say for example, you have a bowl of ice cream, or you have cotton candy, or anything else that is sugary sweet. You will want more of it because sugar on its own is slightly addictive. And the dinner critters do have an addictive property, which is to encourage actual predators to eat them, and to eat more of them in abundance. And when you eat one, and instead of any of the others clamoring towards you, he actually just reaches up, grabs one of the red strabbies, and just politely tosses it at you.
I mean, he probably catches it.
And it's just looking at you with those big googly eyes, just expectantly sitting there.
I mean, Mad Lad can insinuate what he wants him to do, but Mad Lad returns the ball into his court and tosses strawberry back to him. He's just like in a sort of like voiceless saying, "You first."
Roquefort glances at that, and I need you to actually roll me either an insight, nature, or arcana.
All right. That's a nat 20.
You toss it back, and Roquefort's just kind of staring at it, and for a moment he looks confused. And then you see it hit him, and he just looks at you almost sympathetically. And as you look at him, you do realize something. A few somethings, really. The first thing you realize, of course, is he does look a lot like the Dinnerkritters. His style matches. He's got the googly eyes. He has no mouth. He's a very simplified, foodie-looking fairy. And and again, in a similar, three-dimensional, cutesy, polygonal style to them. The second, he said earlier that he was already part of his swarm. And as he's looking at you sympathetically, he goes, almost as if he's not understanding what you're asking him to do. Do you not wish to try one?
Mad Lad takes all this in, and he just like is quiet for a second, but he silently like gets up, goes back and takes back the strawberry, and looks at it. Is a bit conflicted himself because he's just like, this is a living creature that wants to eat it. This goes beyond everything he was taught.
Well, technically, it doesn't want to eat him. It wants to be eaten.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
It is okay. It fits as the understanding, but he's just sort of, he still looks slightly confused, but in his mind, of course, it's like, oh, you've decided to try it instead. Okay. And when his head tilts, you can see it does the little googly-eyed shake, like the Dinnerkritters. On a nat 20, what check did you say you were rolling?
I wasn't very sure. Probably, you said nature?
Nature, insight, or arcana?
Probably insight would be his first.
Roquefort makes the offering, knowing he cannot eat them himself, for what is probably not the most obvious reason, but you may figure out here shortly. Presumably once you try the Strabby. Oh, God, that was a dog. Why?
Mad Lad just slowly bends down and just takes a tiny bite out of the strawberry. Strawberry.
And when he tries to take a tiny bite, it jumps in his mouth instead. You don't take tiny bites. You don't take tiny bites of the Dinnerkritters. You gotta eat them in one go.
Oh my gosh, I feel like
Con save. Con save.
Yeah, I was gonna say con save. I was like, make sure Mad Lad does not choke.
Oh, it's not choking, but con save. Con save.
Okay, that's not bad. That's an 18. Say 13 plus 5.
You go to take a tiny bite, and the thing is, you almost get your mouth closed, and then just, pling! Strabby just up and jumps it instead. And it's just on instinct. You actually you can't stop yourself in time. You chew, and it's not like it doesn't chew like a living thing. It just chews like a strawberry. You know?
Yeah.
Like a cartoon strawberry that goes down in a few bites and then just swallows. There's not even any movement. You can't even taste the googly eyes or anything. It's not like plastic. It's just like a strawberry. Granted, it's a little sweeter and actually easier to eat than a normal strawberry, but still pretty dang close. It's like somebody did a really good job of emulating the strawberry flavor, but was allergic to strawberries, so couldn't have the real one.
Huh, fair enough.
And give me a moment to pull up the table, since you ate one. Okay, roll me a d12.
Alright, d12. Let's see, let me get my d12 out.
Let me pull up the lovely Strabbies real quick, because you got a red Strabby. Those are the ones based on ladybugs.
Okay, that's a 6. Right in the middle.
6. Okay, give me just a minute. Let me pull up the document. 6 is your left ear turns into it almost looks like an elf ear, except it's an elf ear that is just a strawberry ear.
Ah! Mad Lad freaks out.
And he's just giggling as you kind of freak out a little. It'll wear off. It's all right. It's all right. And the other Dinnerkritters, they aren't moving to be eaten. They're just bouncing around, just kind of enjoy the fact he's just freaking a little because it's just like, oh, you're playing. We can hop, sure. Bounce, bounce, bounce.
Yeah, Mad Lad is just like feeling his ears, like, what? You mean this thing? It turned my ear into.
Was it good?
I mean, technically yes, but now
the Dinnerkritters look delighted you think they're good. As soon as you say that, you see their little googly eyes are just so joyful that they're just bouncing.
Mad Lad looks at this, looks at Roqueforti, is just like, this is weird.
Isn't it?
I mean, I've never seen critters that are like, and like they're happy that they think they taste good.
Well, see, Dinnerkritters are a fascinating creature. As I mentioned before, they are parasites. They tend to live symbiotically with other creatures. Now, as I mentioned before, they have two very different behaviors. When you find a wild Dinnerkritter hive, it is normally acting in its best interest and its best interest alone. And in that sense, is more concerned with slowly manipulating you into eating more of them until, of course, it is able to actually reproduce. It doesn't care about maintaining a long-term relationship, eventually just wants you addicted to where you'll consume them all. But that does not these Dinnerkritters. These Dinnerkritters are my Dinnerkritters. They are part of a swarm, as are other rangers of my kind. And Dinnerkritters that are not connected to a proper hive mind instead try to establish a longer-running rapport, where they are protected by what would be their predators and in turn provide some level of longer-lasting sustenance to their predators.
Oh, so
without actually being wiped out, so to speak.
Oh, so we're sort of like those spider and frogs, like those tiny frogs.
Exactly.
Oh, I get it now. But how the hell do they reproduce then?
Oh, as I mentioned before with the actual hives, they encourage people to eat them to the point where they become Dinnerkritters.
Wait. Fuck, is this cannibalism?
No. Oh, no. No, but not this one. No, not this one. This is a swarm. The swarm is perfectly normal Dinnerkritters. These were not people. They're fine. None of it is cannibalism. When these Dinnerkritters are fine on their own. When more Dinnerkritters are made, there is no trace left of what was before. It's just Dinnerkritters. It's not cannibalism in any way. You're fine.
But they basically make you eat. I mean,
easy. It is a transformative process. Think of butterflies.
I mean, yeah, that sort of. I mean, I'm glad these are tame and not wild. But still.
Oh no, these are still sort of wild. They're just not connected to a hive. And they were not formerly, you know. Yeah. When it comes to larger scale hives, there is a decent mix of native bug snacks, or native Dinnerkritters rather. Sorry, terribly sorry to producers. And Dinnerkritters that used to be previous predators that have now joined the hive. Now, the hives, of course, are typically led by Dinnerkritter queens. And the queens are the ones that direct them on what to do, whether they are luring people in, whether they're driving them apart, or whether they're befriending others. It is usually on the queen's behavior, what theirs will be like. And, for example, my swarm as a swarm keeper ranger, I would technically be considered the king. And so, these Dinnerkritters follow my feelings, my thoughts, and my wishes.
So, Mad Lad just looks over him and he contemplates for a second. But
that sympathetic look does return from earlier, and he actually whether he asks about it or not,
Oh,
Roquefort does mention.
1 second.
I did not. Oh, sorry. Allow me to take a sip of tea while we wait, which is the same type of tea Roquefort's having.
Sorry about that. Sorry, you go ahead.
As you're looking him over, while he looks sympathetic, you can decide whether Mad Lad asks or not. He looks like he may just explain it whether he asks or not. But
So,
Mad Lad is
you've
looking
turned
Roquefort
into
over.
a bug critter yourself?
In a sense. I did not always look like this, but I like the way I look now. I would not go back to the one I looked like before for love or money. The Roquefort that came before is dead, and it's better that way.
Ah. I mean, I'm glad you're
'Cause
happy. But you said this would go away, right?
yes, it will take a little bit of time, but it does eventually go away. You can mix and match, though. Would you like to try another one?
I think I will just stick with this one for right now.
Oh, understandable, but unfortunate.
It
And
just
as
give
they
me a...
just sort of, you do watch as he actually sort of, he's interacting with one of the others, and this appears to be one of the bigger ones, which you note sort of looks, allow me to actually pull up what it looks like. This looks closer to, this one looks a little closer to a proper, give me a moment. It looks like it's made of pepper, is what it looks like. But it looks like a scorpion made of pepper. And give me just a moment to bring it up. That way I can politely. This will also have to be tagged for arachnophobia because, in spite of it being made of pepper, it is still,
Spider-like, yeah.
yeah. So, spoiler for the same reason, but here is a scorpiño based on a jalapeno pepper.
Love it.
And you do know, just as the Scorpiño is just kind of looking at him, and it's just, he's actually sort of playing with one of his claws. But the Scorpiño's a little clumsy, just politely breaks one of the claws off. And of course, his arms are made entirely of licorice, so it just looks like he broke a piece of licorice. The Scorpiño looks at him, sweats bullets, and then just sort of either tries to put it back or hide it in his claws like a kid broke the cookie jar. Roquefort just politely takes it, pats it on the head, and then just actually tosses it, so that way a couple of the other Dinnerkritters could chase after it and bring it back. Like Jack Skellington, kind of, except it's licorice. Dinnerkritters are terribly misunderstood creatures. When people find out how they reproduce or what they want to do, they seem to think, oh, they're monsters! All they want to do is maim and kill, they must all be destroyed! But that is not the case. They are just trying to make their living, and they have made their living long before anybody else ever trespassed on their isles. This is just how they do things. And if they show any aggression toward people, or if they show any malice, it is traditionally not the Dinnerkritters themselves. It is the queens or kings. And we cannot blame them for the actions of those who may not have come to them by wholesome means.
I mean...
There have been tales of sacrifices and all sorts of terrible things. You can imagine they would be vengeful if they survived.
I mean, I could see that, and I can understand that a bit. My mom was a tiefling, my dad was a half-orc, have a kobold for an uncle, Goliath for an aunt, and my only toon uncle, he was in a bad situation before he met any of the crew. I could see why, vengeful and stuff, and, yeah, like you said, it's just, like, misunderstood.
And as I mentioned before, they are capable of healing you just about as well as I would say, hmm, possibly would qualify as a potion of greater healing. It depends on the size, really.
Really? That's a
The bigger
lot.
they get, the more they can heal.
Like, does it have to be a specific dinner critter or.
No, it just has to be big enough. For example, small ones, like this Skeeto here, and he does indeed, of course, one of the Skeetos just sort of lifts off of one of his little clawed hands and just flies around a bit as an example. It just sort of floats there like a cartoon, just mascot. These would qualify for traditional potions of healing, which some people would call lesser healing, but healing, I believe, is healing. There's nothing lesser about it.
Yeah.
Bigger ones, such as the bungers down there, and he gestures down, of course, to one of the bungers that has a barbecue wrap, would be greater healing. And there are bigger and bigger. Now, there is small, tiny, medium, large, huge, and in a very, very rare case, some kings or queens have been known to be recorded as gargantuan. But they never meet the surface, and you are never able to try and do anything to them. Not that you would want to. The kings and queens, if you find them, are most likely the ones that were formerly other creatures. Not always humanoids. There was a queen I remember of a particular hive that I was scoping out that actually had a queen that was once a tiger.
Huh.
Once. Once a tiger. It
Sorry.
entirely depends on the hive. But, for example, the bigger you get, the more you heal. And it still only turns a little bit of you to critter. Honestly, it's more cosmetic than anything else, but if you do eat a portion of them, some of them do give some benefits. For example, and he actually just holds up the guilty Scorpeno, though it sort of waves a timid little pepper claw. If you actually were lucky enough and you ate one of these, you might get a stinging pepper tail.
Mad Lad is now looking at the Scorpino, very tempted.
But of course, unless you have proper control over a swarm, or in some case you have at least consumed enough that you may at least try and control where it goes, you can never really choose what changes. So it would be more of a gamble if you just wanted to try for a tail or not. And he just sets the Scorpeno back down and it just sort of continues vibing.
Ah, I see.
And of course you notice none of them really have proper not all of them really have proper mouths. So it is not as if they eat in the traditional ways.
How do they survive then?
Well, they don't traditionally need to eat. They have all the nutrients they need, and as mentioned, most of them look like plants. Most of them photosynthesize. They soak up sun. But they
Right.
are jam-packed with nutrients, of course, and when they are ready to reproduce, they tend to try and find someone to eat enough of them.
Yeah.
It's a long process, though, and it tends to take anywhere from weeks to months.
Huh. It's still interesting that like there's like natural ones, but yet there's also like creature ones after they've been eaten and stuff. So, are the natural ones getting rarer now, or there a way for them to like re- reproduce without like being eaten?
Well, all of them are natural. I do not understand your question.
Huh. I guess so. It's just it's just interesting and never seen a critter like this before.
Well, I assume you have never seen a critter like me before either.
Yeah, I haven't. But there's a lot of new things that I'm learning about this at least this part of the world.
I am learning as well. Even for being centuries old, there's still a lot to the material plane I do not know. That is all the fun in a hunt. Figuring out more things about what you're after and what you're doing.
Yeah, I'd like to say I like fighting and like to say I even took down a bear once. That was fun.
Oh, you a bear? Impressive. How did you do so?
Mad
And you can
Lad,
see, of course, as you start talking, yeah, the dinner critters are interested. They're settling in to listen.
just please tell me I have this somewhere. Please tell me it's near
Please,
here.
I want to hear.
No, I have a picture. Do I
Oh, a
have?
picture, please.
I have it like somewhere. Do I not have it on my Toonkind art stuff? Or is it under like item art? Yeah, it's under item art. So Mad Lad takes out his hand cannon, which is the top left one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now, Roquefort, of course, he's a ranger with a preference for firearms, even though he brought a longbow to his last hunting party. So he sees the hand cannon, and you can immediately see that the glimmer in his googly eyes.
Yeah, Mad Lad smiles proudly. I made this myself. I'm a
You
gunsmith.
made it?
Yeah,
Ooh.
gunsmith, gunslinger.
He actually just sort of he does get up, and he's not going to take it from your hands, but with your permission, if he could feel it over with his little licorice claws.
Mad Lad, I say, Mad Lad, I say, after this whole time, Mad Lad hands the hand cannon over him. They say, it shoots out my own special, like, ammo. They say, they're little bombs.
Ooh. And he's just, as he's saying this, of course, as he's just oohing and awing, he is looking it over with as much delicate nature and professionality in his claws as a, proper fellow gunsmith. He recognizes firearms. He knows them well and knows how to handle them.
Yeah, and he
Of course,
takes out the next gun, which is his princess pistol, and he's like, I say, I didn't make this one, but I add some customizations to it. I say, this was originally a gift from my princess.
Oh, it is a very lovely thing, and it certainly looks like it's seen the body count.
Oh yeah, it has. This is my second used one. Then I have my little. He takes out his little bullseye palm pistol. It's a called her bullseye for right now because it looks like one of those cowboy pistols. But this one still needs to get some use in battle.
A snub nose. Can't go wrong with a snub nose pistol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like this one a lot. I like. Do you watch the engineer films?
Do I watch the what films?
Oh, you don't know? Do you not know what cinema is?
Oh no, I know cinema. I have not really been allowed to watch much.
Ooh, we should watch the engineers films. They're really cool. They're cowboy films, and lately he did this like star cause sort of thing. And it's in space, but it's like a western. It's really cool.
And I am going to try. I'm gonna roll Roquefort something. I'm gonna see if he can deceive himself into thinking he's not interested. He gets a -1 to deception, so likelihood is he'll fail. But
mm-hmm.
you can roll insight or something else if you want, since he said he's not normally allowed to watch. But
yeah, he'll roll.
Oh yeah, no, it's just he tries to lie to himself and say he's not interested. Like you can see there's a moment of conflict where there's a thought of, well, and you can see it in his eyes for like a moment, just that moment's hesitation. But you're describing cowboys, space, and all this stuff, and he is fidgeting on the spot like he's actually really fucking interested, and he's not saying it out loud. He looks very sheepish about that fact, but clearly the dinner critters are reflecting it, just like they're more confidently interested in that they're actually just clamoring towards you and just crowding your feet a little.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's really, really cool. When the storm is done, let's go to a movie and I can show you. I think it's still on. Star Cause. We can go see one of his films. They're usually in rotation.
That'd actually be really nice. That would be very nice. I do not normally get to go to the cinemas. I'm usually very busy with work, or I am on patrols, or I am on hunts. I do not tend to take time to see the movies.
You should. It's really fun and relaxing. We do like little movie nights with my new family like all the time. And we have popcorn, we have pizza. It's fun.
Ooh, that does sound nice. Do you have actors? Or
I mean there's actors in the films, yeah.
roll me an insight intelligence check, one of the two.
He's actually pretty intelligent. Which he rolls pretty good on. That is a dirty 20.
The way he asked that, you do not think he has ever actually seen a proper movie. You think he's conflating it with theater. You think that he is thinking you are going to get food and actually watch people do things. And it's not through a screen.
Mad Lad, eyes wide, and he's like, oh, you haven't seen a movie.
Movie?
Yeah, it's like theater, but it's on a screen, so you can watch it as many times as you want.
Is it contestants contained in a demiplane?
No, it's a
Trapped
recording.
spirits?
No, they use like, what is it called? Film, and it's similar. Do you know what a camera is?
I'm gonna roll him intelligence to see if he knows what a fucking camera is. Intelligence. He gets a +1. Only
my
one,
gosh.
mind you.
Oh my gosh.
That's a no. He tilts his head, similar to the puppy dog style you saw before, and you do not see a single moment of processing about cameras behind those googly eyes. He looks as fucking zoned out on the word as the rest of his Dinnerkritters.
Okay, Mad Lad is gonna pull something from his hammer space. Oh, I rolled with the wrong die, but still a nat 1, so he's gonna have a fumble.
Fumble. Also, I love how this is turning into, yeah, the poor fairy hunter has never been able to fucking socialize enough to see a movie, let alone a TV, let alone a cinema or a camera.
Mad Lad pulls out a multicolor, what looks like regular dice, but he's like, oh, nope, those are my loaded dice. And he puts it back.
Loaded dice?
I'm a pirate, so I need those sometimes.
Fair enough.
And he'll roll a D. Now let me get my D10 out.
While you're fumbling through it, by the way, would you do me a favor, and you can either roll me Arcana or Perception?
Alright. But Mad Lad does pull out a small, like, one of those, like, I forget what those cameras are called that, like, print out the picture. Polaroid cameras.
Polaroids. I'm gonna roll him a save real quick to see whether he's spooked by it or not. Give me a moment. That is a wisdom save +2.
He's gonna... Yeah, that's actually... He's been really good with perception. So, yeah.
You pull it out, and he actually jumps back and clings to the chair a bit. It looks like he's about to duck behind it for a moment.
No.
Nope, not those. Nope. Don't trap your soul inside. Put it back. Put
No,
it back.
that's a myth. I say that is a sailor's myth. I know you're not a sailor, but I call them sailor's myths, but yeah. No. I say that they don't trap your soul inside of them.
He glances aside for a moment. You're not sure why. You think it just looks like a look of hesitation, but then he glances forward and is just like, are you sure it will not trap my soul?
Mad Lad turns the camera around and does like a little like kid like pose with his and smiling, just like a little crazy face, and takes a picture of himself.
Oh, and I assume you didn't turn the flash off, so roll for like flinches at least.
Yeah. And Mad Lad, like, as the photo prints out, he's like, see, my soul's fine.
Your soul is fine, and as it prints out, and does it process, or?
It does process slowly. Mad Lad, like, does, like...
You got photobombed. You got photobombed by one of the grape skeetos that flew right up to the camera as it was flashing, just curious, like right up to the lens. So most of your face looks like a grape skeeto.
Mad Lad just laughs as he.
Big googly eyes, the noodle mouth, and everything.
Yeah, Mad Lad just laughs and shows the picture to Rockford.
Oh, and he just carefully takes it, glances it over, and that grape skeeter that photobombed you actually looks it over, just looks a little proud of itself, like, ah, look at me, I'm so handsome, ha. Another one does not process with the same level of intelligence. It actually tries to poke it with its needle mouth. It does not poke a hole through it, thankfully, but just sort of crashes into it and bends its nose for a moment before, straightening it back out, cartoon style. It is not another grape skeetle. You're fine. I think. This is not another grape skeetle, yeah?
No, this is just like a fancy picture that you can take anytime.
Oh! It is a painting without effort?
Yeah, it's a painting without effort.
Oh! I feel like artists might be out of a job.
Not really. Trust me, everyone wants to pay for some good art.
I better roll him a save Victor to see if he accidentally snaps himself or not. That's a dexterity, so we're gonna do dexterity +7. Come on, buddy. Oh yeah, no, his claws are thankfully very careful in handling things, so you can see the way it carefully avoids the actual snap button.
Yeah, but basically, a film is like a bunch of pictures strung together, and it makes the people move. So it's just like it's really hard to explain. Just know that there's no one inside the film or the television. It's just a bunch of paintings, just like it's just like strung together to make things move. And somehow they incorporate sound, but I had no idea how they do it.
I feel like maybe that just overcomplicates the theater again, but I'm going to take your word for it and hope that it sounds fun when we go to see. And he just carefully hands the camera back to you, hopefully not to drop it and break it.
Yeah, Mad Lad takes the camera and puts it back in his pocket. He's like,
I apologize. I was raised believing that those specific boxes. I did not have the names to them, but I was raised to believe they would steal your soul, so I was taught to avoid them.
Yeah, I don't blame you. A lot of people have heard of that myth. But that kobold, my uncle, he was an artist vicer, so he was able to even show all of us how the camera works and everything, and how they make the picture. It's really cool, but don't remind. Well, I can't repeat it. There was a lot of steps.
Understandable. I understand.
You know what?
Would you like to know when?
Oh, sorry. You go.
No. Actually, you can continue. You can continue. He's still looking at you, just half interested, half still slightly wary about the camera, but getting a little better about it. Because again, it was just a matter of he just got spooked by it. It's just as a funky little old fairy man.
Yeah, and Mad Lad is like. He sees this. He's like, yeah, this guy's already very spooky. He's like, he looks around and I don't know for sure, but I guess there's maybe an old TV that maybe Ollie has.
There's gotta be, I would assume.
I would assume too. So Mad Lad remembers separate. There's a little ding of a light bulb goes above his head, and then grabs Rockford by the hand/claw and drags him over to the TV.
And the Dinnerkritters just now they no longer stay solid. As they move through, you can see how they go ethereal in the nearby light as lightning flashes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So they're no longer solid. It's his ethereal swarm again.
And Mad Lad sits in front of the TV and he's like, let's just watch some TV. This is like movie, but smaller screen.
And you kind of pull him to sit beside you, and he's a little closer to the screen than he'd like, but he was not raised with the knowledge of you don't sit close enough to the screen, otherwise, you could hurt your eyes. So it's just like he just sort of glances over, then back to Mad Lad then politely takes off the reading spectacles he still had the whole time and he tucks them away in his
Yeah,
hand face.
and Mad Lad like set him down in like an appropriate like away-ness from the TV.
Hmm.
So he then like crawls to the TV and clicks on the TV and let's see what kind. Let's roll the dice. Let's see what kind of show he has because I
And
have
I'm gonna roll dexterity for one of the critters because it's gonna try and bring his tea over.
11.
Oh, thank heavens.
Yeah, ironically, it turns to a romance movie, and Mad Lad's like, yeah, romance movie.
Ironically, you display disgust, but roll me perception to see if you notice Roquefort.
The one thing he rolled, and Roquefort loves it. Oh my gosh, that's a 19 on the die.
You look over, and Roquefort's ears are turned toward the screen. His funky, long, simple fey ears are turned toward the screen. He's immediately invested.
Of course, you're
It,
invested in this stuff.
if you want, you can roll insight to see what part is investing him and to whether it is just the romance aspect or whether it's, ooh, intrigue.
I mean, he will try. Oh, that's not bad. Insight, that'll be a 15.
15 actually makes it. It's, again, you don't have a lot of know-how on fairy entertainment. And Roquefort himself, while he mentions, of course, theater and that kind of thing, he clearly has never mentioned cinema, doesn't know cinema or television in any capacity, as you've proven, even with the camera. But considering the fact he is immediately invested in whatever tense discussion is being held between two characters on screen, one of them, of course, vying for the love of the main. You're not sure
Yeah.
if it's a lady or a lad, but somebody whose
Yeah.
gender is currently unclear, and the other who you're not sure is a competitor, a relative, or what. But it's a tense sort of discussion that's clearly being held in the background of a party where they're meant to be behaving, and Roquefort is immediately into this tension. He is immediately into this, and you're not sure if it's because of the whole fact that it's actual story tension, like political tension,
Mm-hmm.
or romantic tension, or just the plain romance aspect, or even if it's because it looks like a period piece. But whatever combination it is, he is indeed immediately invested. And if you try to change it, one clawed hand will reach over and stop you.
Yeah, Mad Lad probably tries, but then sees that he actually really likes this stuff, and Mad Lad's just like sighs. He's just like, all right, we can watch this. This is not my sort of stuff, but I can see you like it.
Do
But
you
yeah,
have any context to the story so far? Do you know what the title is?
I don't know. I don't watch gushy romance movies.
What makes you think romance is gushy?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just, people act weird when they're in love. They don't think, and they just do. Like, I mean, it's fine for like moms and dads, but when he did then points at the screen. It's just like other times they just make them look like complete fools.
Well, yes, but in defense of you, a lot of your emotions do make you look like fools to us, as a lot of our emotions make us possibly look like fools to you.
Matt Lad opens his mouth, like to argue, but then closes, and he has
And
no
as
argument.
as you close it and have the argument, you notice as the barbecue bunger is just politely strutting on over with the teacup and saucer on top, just balanced like a little butler, just it struts himself up and straightens up. That way Roquefort can take it. Merci. And he just politely takes it, and he actually bends down. And though you do not, again, cannot stress enough, he has no mouth. You don't see one. You hear the little kiss sound effect, the little cartoon kiss sound effect as he kisses the top of the bunger's head.
Yeah.
Goes solid for a moment and then goes ethereal again. Because again, he was solid to carry the tea over. That was it. And he just has his tea, and you just You do hear Roquefort occasionally mutter to you about the tension or what's happening in the moment, but he seems to get immediately what's going on and he is a very polite person to watch things with. He does not comment on everything. He's not loud unless there's a moment of shock or surprise.
Mm.
There appears to be one particular attack that happens in this romance, which, funny enough, is in fact by pirates, which he exclaims in surprise and entertainment at. But the pirates look a mixture of scruffily or fancily dressed and fit the moment of the film. But
Yeah.
I assume you just spend time watching.
Yeah, we just.
Would you like to?
Yeah, I think this is a good place to end it off. Just Mad Lad showing him different, like, shows after that one's over and stuff, and like, seeing different, like, television and or movies depending on what's on.
Yeah, the book is eventually brought back over to him, as is of course the one that was originally handed to you before you put it aside, but
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, there are a few things that you learn, at least in the time as the storm is going on, until eventually, of course, you as a little lad need to sleep.
Yeah.
And there's a few things you learn. Roquefort is in fact a fan of romance. He's a fan of whether it's cheesy or whether it's more seriously taken, but he speaks about it in a way that is very befitting of Shakespeare and the historical pieces.
Ah.
He does not speak about it in the it would sound flowery and gushy in any other sense, and you almost would make fun of that at first. But with the way he describes it, and that first, of course, romance and also pirate show that you watched,
Mm-hmm.
which you get was an episode rather than part of an actual film,
Hee hee.
you get that he sees romance in a different, not as ridiculous way, and treats it just about as seriously as heroism or courage, and is certainly interested in it. He's
Hmm.
also interested in not exactly war drama, but he does seem to show an interest in nautical drama, whether it's sailors or pirates. And when you actually flip over and find Treasure Island playing, he's actually more than okay to sit down with you and watch it start to finish.
Yeah, Mad Lad, when he sees Treasure Island come on, he is just like jumping, like almost jumping up and down. It's like, ooh, this is my favorite. This is one of my favorites.
And Roquefort, of course, the other Dinnerkritters, when you jump, you notice they try to imitate your jumping. Like they actually do the up and down jumps. The bunker's heavier, of course, but. And he seems interested, of course, in things with fight, things with, of course, tension, and sometimes some political debate. But if it's too deep in, like, the political intrigue and that kind of thing, you could actually. You're not sure whether he dislikes or not, but you hear him make comments like he's seen way too much political intrigue in his day to day. He does not. He's not interested in seeing more people argue over politics. He does not. He does not.
That's fair. Mad Lad is not like politics either, so he doesn't really care. But yeah, I think they have a nice little afternoon of watching movies.
Yeah. And he just enjoys it. Meanwhile, there are a few times something jumps at the screen, and again, he's not used to the concept that it's nothing in there. So you can see that hunter's instinct almost kicks in at points, but then it's like, oh, right, nothing in the box. It's fine. The little kid's not going to make fun of you. It's fine.
Mad Lad does chuckle at the first time.
The first time, yeah, because there's a moment he almost reaches over for the sword he still has on him, mind you, that rapier that he brought back from his hunting party just the other day. But aside from that, while he flinches at points, he is still slowly starting to get used to the fact that okay, it's like an illusion box. There's nothing in there. You're fine. You're not going to get ambushed. This is not a Feywild trick. Nothing is coming out of the box to get you. You're fine. Just relax, old man. Relax.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the dinner critters nearby, and eventually, as time passes, the strabby ear actually wears off before bed. You almost don't even notice it at first because of how natural it feels sitting there and then disappearing.
Hmm.
But eventually, when Mad Lad does have to sleep, and you're getting ready, you do have to brush your teeth and do that kind of thing, get ready. You look in the
Mm-hmm.
mirror, your ears are normal. No strawberry ear.
And Mad Lad smiles at that and just gives a little sigh of relief. He is just like he's similar to Rockford. It's like he hasn't experienced a lot of the Feywild, mainly just stories from his other crew and other people who've been to it had maybe not the best experience, but he's starting to trust Rockford now.
for now. And Roquefort himself isn't bad. It's a little clear that from Roquefort's experience, it sounds like he's got a lot going on. But
Yeah.
at least you had an enjoyable night showing him some shows and at least slowly introducing him to the idea the TV's not gonna attack him out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Slowly. You don't think it'll just be gone in one day. He may still flinch at points, especially if there's a monster, but you haven't seen any horror yet, so you know what? Probably a good thing considering the fact he still has a sword on him. You don't
Yeah.
want to see him accidentally stab one of your only working TVs.
Yeah, he doesn't want Ollie to get mad at him.
But yeah, I do believe that is a good point to end it off. Mad
Yeah.
Lad has learned a little more on Dinnerkritters and on Roquefort, and has at least processed that while it's not clear how Roquefort became part of the swarm and still retained his, vaguely humanoid appearance rather than breaking into a bunch of other Dinnerkritters,
Mm-hmm.
it's clear that he enjoys how he is. And without going into any detail on his part, it's at least clear what little comment he gave. He prefers it this way than the way that was before. And that is entirely fine on his part. Madland has no context to it, so there's no way to know what the decision was made for or why, but he at least knows that when Roquefort calls himself part of the swarm, he is very literal about it. He is a dinner critter fairy as much as he is a toon fairy. And seeing as he's been helpful to Egad, all the better.
Yep. And as long as he's happy, Mad Lad's happy. He's just like, he'll help him if he wants. Like, he will offer probably Rockford later to go on another hunting expedition. If he wants to go, like, if he's going on one, he would like to try to join if he was able. But
Yeah, well, once the cooldown's done, of course. Once
yeah,
the cooldown's done. I do
exactly.
still have one more game cooldown before Roquefort can, before I can play anything as a player instead of a DM, but
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
still. And in turn, Mad Lad has introduced Roquefort to television cameras, and of course has at least helped clear up the whole no, they don't steal your soul.
yeah.
That's a very old thing, but I understand where you got it from.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Uh,
And even
yeah.
got a little funny photo bomb from one of the grape skeetos.
Yeah, Madeline's
But
gonna keep that. Uh, thank you for doing
overall,
this.
yeah, it was rather fun, and overall, everybody had at least a decent time passing the storm. I
Oh,
imagine
yeah.
it's still going to be storming the next day, but at least that day, it wasn't as boring as it could have been.
Exactly. And thank you all who have listened into this to say, I hope you have a good time zone.
I
Bye.
also hope you have a good rest, and I would also like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for playing with me, Winona, and for listening, viewers. Hopefully,
Mhm.
you can tune in with us next time, and we'll see what other shenanigans Mad Lad or Roquefort get into. But for
Indeed.
now, have a good rest, take care of yourselves, stay safe, stay vaccinated, and we'll see you next time. Good night
Bye.
and goodbye.